Hello, is everyone here?
Yep, they can hear you.
Okay, but we can't hear anyone over here. Okay, all I need to, we had already done the Pledge of Allegiance, so we're going to dispense with that. Is there any changes to the agenda? I can't hear anything.
There's no changes to the agenda, Mayor.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Someone's there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion for council's approval of the agenda?
Adam will make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Ronald, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 And I also vote aye. Okay, awards presentation, appointments and proclamations. We have one, and Mr. Brewer will do this. This is the Employee of the Month for September 2020. Maintenance Worker 1, Manuel Robles. Mr. Brewer.
All right, thank you. Manuel has been with the city just under 2 years, and in this time, he has shown his ability to learn quickly. He's a hard worker and is very thorough with every job given to him. As you all know, last month, the city did a beautification week where employees from every department participated in code enforcement issues. And from a lot of discussions I've had with his supervisors and other employees, that he exceeded expectations and did a great job helping and getting the city cleaned up. So I'd like to thank Manuel for all of his efforts and taking on the tasks of addressing code enforcement issues throughout the city, because as we know, we don't have a code enforcement officer right now, and it is very challenging to continue to try to keep the city clean, and his efforts helped drastically. I saw a lot of the letters that were going out, and he was picking areas that needed to be addressed, and I commend him for that, and thank you for all his help during that beautification week. I think he is on if he wants to say anything. If not, I understand. But if you'd like to speak, we can probably unmute you.
I just want to say thank you for this appointment. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Members of the public to address the City Council on any item within the jurisdiction of the Council. Members of the public, when recognized, should use the microphone, identify yourself, and please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. In accordance with state open meeting laws, no action will be taken by the City Council this evening, and all items will be referred to staff for follow-up and a report. Is there anyone? We have 2 letters that are to be read. Are there anyone other? There's 2 more. Okay, we're going to have Mercedes read these first, if we can, please.
So I have a comment from Jerry Mize. I'd like to start out by saying I'm a property owner and a taxpayer to the city of Coalinga. I'd like to address a couple of the agenda items. The first one is about the distance from cannabis businesses to a school, parks, etc. I think Coalinga City Council should pick a distance and stick with it instead of manipulating and bending rules and jumping through loopholes to achieve what the city needs for different cannabis businesses. The other agenda item that is most concerning to me is the removal of surveillance and monitoring of cannabis businesses. Again, this was promised by the City Council to the citizens of Coalinga so that cannabis would be allowed in their town. I hope I do not have to explain what can go on in these cannabis businesses when nobody is watching. If it were up to be removed, I would like to know who then would be responsible if something were to happen. I think it should fall in the laps of city manager and chief of police. I know both of these agenda items were Councilman Atkinson's. This is also a big concern to me, knowing he was the biggest advocate against cannabis in Coalinga and now is running a cannabis-related business himself. That being known, Councilman Atkinson should be recused on voting on anything cannabis-related in Coalinga. Knowing Coalinga's past and how it operates, this will be one ear in one ear and out the other. Just my 2 cents. Jerry Mize. This other comment is from Bonnie Weckler. Dear City Manager, Mayor, and City Council, please explain your position and decision made for this community of Coalinga and its citizens in regards to protecting our community against the high COVID rates and cases. On this date, it is unknown what the true number of COVID cases are due to the lack of testing. Your decision on keeping all businesses open and not pursuing testing has opened our community to rapid spread. There are 2 prisons and 1 state hospital with staff that are possibly spreading COVID in our community. We are at greater risk due to these facilities in our community. After looking at the Department of Public Health etymology, it is very concerning. Please address this issue. Thank you. Bonnie Weckler.
Thank you. You have 2 more?
I have 2 more. So I am going to unmute Robin Scott.
Okay, go ahead, please. Robin, are you there?
I don't think she had anything to say. I think she was just wondering if the meeting had started because none of us could hear her first.
Okay,
Oh, okay. Thank you.
and then we have 1 more.
I have 1 more.
I think that's the same too if you're talking about Andrea.
Okay.
It looks like they just wanted to know.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Hello? Oh.
yes,
awesome.
hello.
Hi, Mayor, City Council. I just wanted to address the council today on the notice that everyone got about the increase for the 30% base usage. I just hope that the council takes into consideration the constituents of Coalinga. You know, we've all struggled a lot, especially with the pandemic. Who knows how many jobs have been lost. In the last couple years, we've lost our hospital, we've lost Kmart, huge employers. We have a lot of people out here where you see a lot of us trying to receive some kind of help from the government, whether it's stimulus checks or whatever. And here we're increasing our rates and having our citizens pay more. And I think that's something that maybe we need to discuss further and look into more before we put this on all of the citizens of Coalinga. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Thank you guys for your time, and have a good day.
Thank you very much for your input. Thank you. Any others? That's it? Okay, we're going to go on to public hearings. We have none.
Council, this is Megan Dodd, Assistant City Attorney. Nathan
Yes.
Vosberg had said on the chat that he wanted to speak, so.
Okay, we're back up then. Go ahead. Hey, Nathan, are you there?
No, I have to unmute someone.
Okay. I'm sure.
Mayor, council, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yes, perfect. So I just wanted to talk about items 1 with the council direction, potential action of removing the SCI consulting. I just want to say that since I was on council and I helped get through a lot of these things, I just wanted to bring back some things. We actually did decide way back when that the licensing fees being high due to the consulting, that over time we would move these over to the city staff to be handling most of that stuff rather than SCI. So I wanted to say that was always in the works from day 1 of trying to get these licensing fees down. We knew that the licensing fees were going to be high, which is half is split between SCI and half is split between the city. And so that number, if you guys want more businesses to come in, then I would suggest you really consider doing that. And then also following up with distance requirements. Coalinga is running out of space. The cannabis industry has been a success. And if it was me, I'd be setting those limits to what the state requirements are. So that way you guys can bring in more businesses. You've had almost 0 issues on any sides. I know I pay attention, watch to see, you know, it hasn't been exactly zero, but there's been a handful of instances, none of which have been anything that the PD could not handle. And so I would suggest doing both of those things. And then lastly, I would like to thank Mayor Lander for his years of dedication and service to this community. We've had our differences, you know, on different things, and that's how, you know, things go when you have people running back and forth with ideas, and hopefully you can get the best idea from going back and forth. But I totally respect the years of service that Mr. Lander has put in. Him and his family have been here for a very long time in Coalinga, and for somebody to put in that much time when other people, no one would be willing to step up in certain instances, and Mayor Lander did just that. And I would really like to commend him on a job well done. And I'm sorry that he's not running this time. I was actually hoping that he would, you know, but I understand that, you know, this is a long time. And, you know, after a long, long time of doing things, you know, changing direction can be a good thing. But I just really want to wish Mayor Lander the best of luck. And I really want to say that he did teach me quite a bit when I was on council. We used him for his wisdom. We used him for his knowledge. And in closed session, you would want someone like Ron Lander on your team. And so I really want to just say thank you. And I appreciate your service. And you know, with that, I'll just say, have a nice day, everyone.
Nathan, thank you very much. Nathan, thank you very much. Any others? No, seeing none. All right, we're going to go on to the consent calendar. We have 3 items. One is to approve the minutes of August the 20th, year 2020. Item 2 is check register from 7/01/2020 through 7/31/2020. Item 3 is waive the second reading of ordinance number 843, amending the ordinance related to sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. Is there any item you'd like to pull or discuss, council? Seeing none?
How about number 3?
Okay, number 3, and who's asking?
Adam.
Okay, Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Sean, can we discuss what was changed in between the last time where we talked about this?
Since the last time, nothing's changed. This is the second reading, so the council authorized, approved it the last meeting.
We're still going to do that cost sharing with the
Yeah, so what we're doing is, this is the second reading of the ordinance. So basically, as we talked at the last meeting, this ordinance now reflects just basically state law and then establishes liability. And then as part of the approval process, Larry and I are working on a cost sharing program and a budget. So we're looking at what other cities have historically done, and we'll bring back a cost sharing program. So in terms of when we start looking at sidewalk improvements, we'll be able to do a cost sharing, whether that's by in-kind service from city staff doing the installation, or whether or not it's just a dollar for dollar match, or however we're going to look at that. So that's still in development, and then we'll be bringing back that to the council probably in the next couple meetings.
Okay, so the cost sharing aspect will come back to us.
Yes, that'll come back to you. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments on that? Seeing none. So do we have a motion for approval of the consent calendar, items 1, 2, and 3?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Singleton.
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilwoman Stoltz. Do we have, may I have roll call, please?
Councilman Singleton,
Aye.
Councilwoman Stoll,
Aye.
Councilman Atkinson,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Ramsey,
Aye.
Mayor Lander.
Aye. Our next item, excuse me, our next item is ordinance presentation, discussion, and potential action items. We have 5 items. Our first item is council discussion and potential action regarding the cancellation of the city's cannabis monitoring and compliance contract with SCI Consulting. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This was a future agenda item requested by Councilman Atkinson. So I'm going to go ahead and let him have the floor to start the discussion, and then any questions that you guys have from staff, will be prepared to answer any questions, hopefully, that you guys may have. So Adam, I'm going to give you the floor, and then just let me know if you have any questions, and Darren's in here with me too, if you have any questions for the police department.
Correct. So as the former mayor, Nathan, had already discussed, this was something that was never meant to be permanent. It was something that was going to be temporary as we learned to get through this whole cannabis business. Now we've had cannabis for several years, and our licensing fees are quite high. And this is a way to help us lower our licensing fees, become more business friendly, and help attract future cannabis businesses into the area. Right now, if we got rid of the CSI, that would drop some of the licensing fees around half. Sean, do you have any numbers in front of you that would tell us how much some of these cannabis businesses are actually paying for SCI?
Yeah, so depending on the type of activities, whether it's cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, or a retailer, a retailer pays about $25,000 a year approximately for the SCI portion, and then plus our $27,750 on the city side. Distribution is about $6,866, $6,800 a year. Manufacturing, typically it looks like it's around $33,000, and then cultivation, depending on the size, ranges from about $17,000 to $25,000. And SCI at the beginning they've provided breakdowns in terms of what tasks are being done based on an inspection list. That includes about, I think, 10 hours or 10 and a half hours of camera monitoring time. I think originally when it was brought to the council quite a few years ago, originally had, I think, 20 or even more than that. And to bring those fees down, that's where a lot of that cost was in the camera monitoring. And then also just the inspections, the monthly inspections, and then the reports that they provide to the police department on a monthly basis. So those are kind of your numbers in terms of the cost that SCI charges, and that's a direct pass through to the cannabis operators.
And as a percentage of the licensing fees, would you say that's about half of?
Yeah, I think you're pretty close.
Approximately.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
probably pretty close in terms of about being about half.
And everything that SCI looks at, the city has access to as well, right?
Yes.
So if, let's say, SCI is looking at a potential employee problem of, let's say an employee wasn't approved by the city, our police department could do that as well, right? They can go through and look at the logs.
Yes.
So everything that SCI is doing, we can already do.
Yes, we can do that.
Okay. All right.
It's just
So I think this
is a matter of training and making sure they're looking for the specific things, because not only we look at both state law and local law when SCI is out there doing inspections. So it's just a matter of training the officer or whoever's assigned at the police department to do those inspections and monitoring.
Especially with Hanford and Lemoore approving their own cannabis companies, it's going to get competitive over here, and this helps us become a lot more competitive, in my opinion.
Is Darren available?
Yes, I'm here.
Darren, no. So, Sean, my question is, if SCI was to be relieved, who would take on this responsibility of monitoring all these things? The police department?
Yes,
Or Sean,
actually,
or who?
when this went down, the police department has a staff that is funded by the cannabis to do this, and this was supposed to be a transition that was to occur, where the police department was to take over the monitoring, and they do the backgrounds and all the compliance checks.
Okay.
So does that mean that one of our existing officers would be taken away from their other duties to do the duties of the cannabis?
They would probably be 20 to 25 hours would probably be taken away from their normal patrol duties to do the cannabis monitoring and compliance. This person would also do the background checks for all the new hires, and then we have a records clerk that is responsible for doing all the permitting and all the identification cards for the new hires and live scans.
And who pays for all that?
The marijuana companies.
That's built into the city's fee. So the city broke it down to roughly $27,000 per license. And that
Right.
covers the 2 records clerks and the police officer, plus the purchase of the RIMS system to assist with monitoring and managing the actual information on the employees, on the operators, and on the caseload. And so those built in were broken up into that fee structure. And so yes, if SCI is no longer available or no longer contracted with the city, the city would not lose positions. It wouldn't lose any revenue because SCI's contract is a direct pass through to the actual operators because it's a cost of service. And so that would just take that the officer that is funded through the cannabis fund licensing fees would be responsible for doing the backgrounds and the compliance checks.
So now SCI has a contract currently with the city, am I correct?
Yes,
And when does their contract expire?
it's an ongoing contract with a 30-day cancellation clause.
Okay, so we have a 30-day cancellation. Okay, so what I'm looking at, I mean, just in my mind, is I know that the police department is short-staffed. Evidently, you know, the cannabis industry would be paying, so it doesn't appear to be a problem there from what you're telling me. But it certainly appears that we would be short-staffed, and I know that we have additional activities going on in our community right now, which the police department's been working very diligently and trying to control. So at this time, in my opinion, I don't think this is a good idea because you're going to short staff your police department and they're overwhelmed right now as we speak. Am I correct, Darren?
Correct.
Yeah.
Hey,
Ray?
Sean, I have a question, Sean. So does Cal OSHA, does Fresno County, does anybody monitor them other than the company that we have monitoring them?
As far as I know, no. I've been in conversations with CDPH, and this is probably about a year ago, and she was identified as the only inspector for the state from basically just south of Sacramento to LA. And I don't think they have, as far as I know, no one from the state, from OSHA or from Fresno County have been in any of the facilities here other than one training trip they did at the Claremont facility probably 2 years ago.
They could go if they wanted to, right?
They could go. I imagine if anything, they may be complaint based. And since there are different divisions, since you have CDPH, which is California Department of Public Health, they handle manufacturing. And then you have Food and Ag that handles, or Cal Cannabis, which handles cultivation. And then you also have the Bureau of Cannabis Control that manages your retail side. They all have different employees that manage and do different inspections. But as far as I understand, they're on enforcement efforts only, and a lot of their resources right now are driving towards illegal operations, especially down in Southern California.
Now, it was mentioned earlier that by Adam that if I'm wrong, correct me, please. That Hanford and one of the other cities, they're doing it in-house. They're monitoring all this operation in-house, correct? Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I know a lot of cities aren't using, they all monitor it in-house, and they have much more competitive licensing fees than we do.
Okay. Well, and the reason I'm even asking is because they have a bigger budget and they have a larger police department than we do. And I think it's a great idea if we had the funding, but I personally don't think we have the funding and the manpower.
Chief, what do the police put into cannabis companies now?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
What kind of time is the police putting into cannabis companies now?
Manny's temporarily doing our backgrounds, and he averages probably, if we have a stack that comes in, where he's averaging probably anywhere from 10 to 15 hours a week during his patrol week doing backgrounds.
Okay, so we're already putting time into it. Sean, When you say SCI does monitoring of cameras for 10.5 hours, is that per month or per week?
Per month.
Per month. So all we're really changing is 10.5 hours per month of cameras that are already tied into the police department.
And then the additional time for the inspections. The inspections probably between I think about the 6 or 7 facilities we have would probably take, you know, probably 4 days a month.
4 days a month?
Yeah, pretty much most of the day. I know that SCI spends quite a bit of time. I'd have to look to see. I mean, it's between the inspection time plus the writing up the report. And
But we're getting paid for that in the licensing fees.
What?
We're getting paid for that in the licensing fees.
Through the pass through that's being charged from SCI. So everything that SCI does is being covered. The cost is being covered. So when if SCI's contract goes away, then yeah, the burden would be placed on the police department.
So we're kind of charging them extra. We're charging the cannabis companies both on their licensing fees, both for our police officers to monitor them and also for SCI to monitor them. They're kind of double dipping.
What the police department's doing now is the background checks, the live scans, and then any kind of enforcement efforts, which, you know, obviously we know there's not a ton, right? There hasn't been a ton, but having the availability and having that resource to be there for an enforcement effort, if that occurs, and then also just the reviewing of the applications as well.
Other kind of businesses in Coalinga do we do this to? Do we do this for?
There's no other businesses.
All the other businesses in Coalinga get to operate however they want to, but cannabis is a lot different.
Well, and this was, I mean, and not, you know, this is structured based on when the city started this process extremely early, prior to regulations being in place. So, you know, at this point, you know, either way, the city can continue its monitoring and compliance program and can continue what we're doing now. The city was very robust in their approach because of the unknowns, because of how early we were in this space, prior to regulations, prior to anybody practically being hired other than the chief of the Bureau of Cannabis Control. And we basically developed all this based on a state statute rather than regulations in place.
We've had years of experience. We know what. Go ahead, Ray.
No, well, is this company paying the full amount, or have we given them a break on the payment? You know what I mean? Are they paying the full fee?
Yes,
when they started up?
It's a direct pass through to the companies.
So when they started up their licensing, we wanted everything. We didn't cut them 10, 15% break on nothing.
Unless they have multiple licenses. So if they have 2 licenses, we cut the SCI's fee by 10%. And if they have 3 licenses, we cut them by 15%.
You know how many licenses they have?
What?
How many people have multiple licenses?
I think Mixed Green Wave has 2. They have a cult. Actually, they have 3. They have a cultivation, a nursery, and distribution. And then we have, I think they may be the only ones that we have that have multiple licenses.
Oh, okay.
Everyone else has single licenses.
You know what, Sean, if I may, you know, I'm hearing all these facts, figures, contracts. We do not have any of this in front of us. This transpired several years ago, and I think that we need to have this stuff in our hot little hands so that we can review it. So what I would like to suggest at this stage of the game is to table this and bring it back at the next council meeting with all the current information. Who's getting paid what, where's the money going, how many hours are spent, what the contract is, when, where, and how. Because right now, we don't have any of that. And I think that's very, very important to make this kind of decision.
Okay. Well, I mean, this was a future agenda item, so we usually let the discussion, you know, go from there. We not for sure whether or not the whole council's on board or whether or not it's the direction the whole council wants to go. So whatever the council wants to do, we can report back. I have pretty much all the information. If anybody needs information today, I can provide most of the information that you guys would need.
Yeah, it would be very, very helpful to me, and I think to Ray. He's newer on the board. I think that everybody, well, Council Member Stoltz, I think would need that information. We all do. You know, that happened a long time ago. So I think it would be good just as a refresher, and we would have that info. Is everyone agreeable to that?
Yes.
I agree with that, but also got a question. When we done this surveillance thing, since it was before my time, was that a part of the agreement with the city for the citizens to have the surveillance, or was it just something that we implemented as we pursued this? I mean, because if it was a part of the agreement when we started this that they wanted some kind of surveillance, then I think we owe that to them to keep it going. If not, then we can probably kind of work with that.
Well, the surveillance portion, the cameras and having the security system was regulated in the ordinance. And so when we built in the approach for the licensing and what the monitoring, what we built basically was a monitoring and compliance program. It was something that really wasn't in existence in the state, because we knew that as early as we were moving into this space, that there was no one out there to really watch these facilities. We didn't know what kind of operators we were going to receive. We didn't know what the future was going to look like. So we built a monitoring and compliance program where SCI helped us with that. And we developed breakdowns for what tasks need to be done. And that was really built into what the state statute showed, and as well as what was in our ordinance. So that's really what it mirrors. And now it's kind of evolved a little bit in terms of the regulations that are in place, which is ironic, but they're very similar to our ordinances. And,
Okay.
and so, but the camera portion was just monitoring those security cameras. That was kind of what we brought to the council at the time, which was originally, I think it was 20 hours. We cut it in half because the fee got pretty high when you add 10 extra hours of consulting costs. So we brought that down to 10 and a half hours. But that surveillance is there, and it's built in the ordinance as well.
Okay.
So is it everybody in agreement to bring this back with the current information that's available at the next council meeting?
This is Adam. That's fine with me.
Okay,
It's fine with me.
Okay, Ray,
I agree.
Tanya?
I agree.
Okay, so we can bring that back. Thank you.
So Ron, is there particular information you guys are looking for in that report? I mean, there's specific.
Well, I'd like to see, I would like to see a copy of the contract. I would like to see the cost analysis as to what they do, where the money goes, how much time is spent, how much time is spent with the police department, how much time they're actually spending, a weekly amount or daily, I don't know, however that works. Anyway, I just think it would be very helpful to make, an educated decision that way.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Our next item is item 2, which is council discussion and potential action regarding updating distance requirements for schools from cannabis companies. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I think I provided a little bit of information on this report, just some background on what current state law is and what the city has in its ordinances. This was a future agenda item requested by Councilman Atkinson, and then staff's just going to request and seek direction from the city council on how to proceed with this. This is basically a request regarding updating the distance requirements from schools for cannabis companies. So if you have any questions for me, let me know. But Adam, again, I'll let you kind of start the conversation, and I can answer any questions or provide some clarification when needed.
All right, so we're running out of room in the city to have cannabis companies come in, and that's a large portion of our revenue generated to the city. Right now, we have about an 1,800 foot buffer between a school and a cannabis company, and that's well above what the state has for 600 feet, or about 3 times that. I'd like to see us drop it to at least 1,000. That'll take it to Pacific Avenue, I believe it is, or Pacific Street. That's going to open up 8-ish, somewhere around 8 buildings up to cannabis companies. And a lot of these buildings are just sitting there, and they've been sitting there for years. It'd be nice to see different businesses come in, whether it's cannabis or something else, but at least give the cannabis companies and options for their business.
Oh, we were on mute, sorry. Okay, any questions or comments, council, on this item?
Okay, the state regulation is 600 feet, right?
Yes, and it states that it's 600 feet, and I apologize, Megan, I meant to ask you this probably before the meeting, but my interpretation or understanding of the state statute is that it says that the proposed premises is not within 600-foot radius of the perimeter of a school, and then the definition of what they consider a school, but it also says, or that a premises complies with local ordinances specifying a different radius. And from what I was gathering and kind of going down the rabbit hole of state regulations, it sounds like it looks like it's up to the state, it's up to the city to determine the ultimate distance, which can be less or more than what that 600 foot radius is.
That is correct.
Okay.
So yeah, they want to give the cities the power to make it more strict, or I don't know that the city could make it less strict than the state, if that makes sense. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know that that's what you guys are even looking to do, but I know that you guys definitely wouldn't be prevented from making it more strict than the state.
And Sean, if we made it 1,000 feet, would that take it to Pacific?
I think that would be right, because it's 1,800 feet to basically Lucille. So if we measure from Lucille to Pacific, if it's about 800 feet, then that would probably be about right at the 1,000 feet. And depending on where you guys want it, I mean, if you want it right to Pacific and be able to capture some more properties along Elm, this is going to require a zoning text amendment. So we would be able to come back and determine the exact distance, whether we confirm that with our engineer or whatever, what the center of the road would be from the edge of the school. Then we can go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I just think it opens up more opportunity for us to gain more revenue, especially with Measure J being about 8 years away from going away. We're going to have to fill that gap.
So here again, I'd like you to bring this back, and I'd like to see maps, because it not only is going to affect Jane Avenue, it's going to affect the entire community. You start doing this. And it also affects what the community was in favor of, and that can have an adverse effect all the way around, as we well know. So I would like to see more information on this, like a map of the city and how it would affect various entities throughout the city, schools, daycare, so on. Could we bring that back, please? We need to see a map and what your potential ideas are.
I have a comment. When this was being discussed years ago, one of the concerns brought forth for that specific area of town was the closeness to Faith Christian. And now all of a sudden it appears that that's changed, and now we're being asked to change the footage to allow cannabis to be closer to a school. When we, as council, sold the citizens on the fact of listening to their concerns and doing, in essence, what they wanted so that they would feel comfortable, their kids would feel comfortable, and all the schools would feel comfortable. So I agree, a map. I mean, I'm trying to visualize the streets, but I agree with actually looking at a map. And I was elected by the people, and I'll do what the people want. And in the beginning, when this all started, they were very nervous, very concerned, and it was a little over a 50-50 split on whether they wanted this in our community. You know, we're being accused of selling out to the cannabis industry. And I'm all about cannabis. I don't have a problem with any of the companies, but I'm only one person when there's, 12,000 voting members.
Any other comments? So if everyone's agreeable, could we bring this back with more information, like a map and potential changes to what is in existence right now?
Well,
is everyone?
I need a little bit more direction in terms of like kind of what distance you guys are looking at. If you guys are looking to entertain a distance, because it depends on what the council's overall approach is to this. If they want to try to shrink that distance, if there's certain examples that you want, because we could go from 1,700 to 600, and so I'm just trying to see what we would see. There isn't too many significant impacts going from like 1,800 to 1,000, other than including those additional parcels on West Elm, and possibly a site on Thompson and West Polk or East Polk.
Sean, why don't, since my item, why don't we start at 1,000 feet, Sean?
What was that?
Since it's my item, why don't we start at 1,000 feet?
Okay, I can put together something on that would show 1,000 feet.
Okay, perfect. So could you bring that back at our next meeting?
Yeah, and I'll even try to get creative and try to share Google Earth, and we can do some measurements on Google Earth Live if we want to look at different options on a zoning map.
That would be perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go to, are we done with that item? Is everybody agreeable?
I have one more comment. With these two items, cannabis related, coming back to us the next meeting or maybe the following meeting, since one of the council members has a home-based business with cannabis related products and holds a city business license, I just feel that he should be recused from voting on these issues when we get to that point.
That is absolutely not going to happen. I don't have marijuana. Hemp is different than marijuana, so please look at the laws on that.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 4. No, number 3, sorry. I marked that one off. Number 3, which is a discussion, direction, and potential action regarding online city council meetings. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor. This was a request from Councilwoman Stoltz regarding just kind of the future of using online or the live streaming of the, not live streaming, but the online service of Zoom, and moving and continuing this service, and just kind of looking at, because I think that previously the council had talked about doing this as a kind of a month trial period. As far as what we can see, that we have not had any issues with Zoom. The state of the state has not changed much in terms of our ability to have in-person council meetings. So at this time, I did provide some details in the report that that basically talks about the cost of Zoom to continue. And with full disclosure, we're pretty much committed to Zoom at least until the end of October due to certain hearings that are scheduled in advance. Especially the rate hearing that's scheduled in October, which means that we had to schedule a Zoom meeting to be able to advertise that public hearing notice. So we are committed to Zoom through the month of October. But if we continue Zoom past October, the cost is $154 per month for that service.
Sean, is that a month to month, or do they do like a 6-month or annual contract or anything?
Well, I think we're on a month to month. They just kind of bill us as at each month. We just have to cancel, I think, in advance.
So we're looking at roughly like $1,800 for a one year run at this if we decided to do something like that.
If we had to keep doing it, I think that once we're back into like live in-person meetings, we won't necessarily need Zoom. We may look at continuing to use the meeting function, because staff has actually been using it quite a bit, and not just due to the pandemic, but it is very convenient to limit travel time and limit the amount of movement we get out of our office, even though it is nice to get out of the office once in a while. But we have found that it has been beneficial, but not necessarily having to utilize the webinar feature. And that's really where the cost is the webinar feature. But it does definitely work. And from what we've seen for the council meetings, it definitely has benefits to the webinar for the council meetings. But moving forward, we'll be prepared to be back in person one of these days. And then Larry's been working diligently to get us set up with live streaming options. I think some of you have been in the council chambers. So we'll be able to get to that point, hopefully, once we get to live in-person meetings.
Any other thoughts on this, council?
I think people have said that Zoom has been much more better. And when I say people, I mean the public and even us. I've had way fewer problems on this than I have on whatever else we're using before. And I think the public agrees.
We've used Zoom for the Fresno County Council of Governments. It's been very, very effective. I liked it thus far that we've used it. I don't have any problem whatsoever. Of course, as you all know, I'm technically challenged here, but this does work a lot better. It's clearer, we can hear. I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Since it was my item that I brought back, and I'm okay with continuing forward until we can meet again in person, whenever that is, hopefully just a few more months.
And that would probably be the best if we can get kind of concurrence from the council, just saying that they're comfortable, we're moving forward, and we're going to continue to use the service until we get to the point where we're in person without the need for Zoom. And then we can come back with the council with other options, moving forward if we continue some part of Zoom for the administrative side.
Is everyone agreeable?
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you have the direction, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next item is item 4, which is discussion, direction, and potential action regarding resuming closed session portion of city council meetings in person. Mr. Brewer.
This was a future agenda item by Councilwoman Stoltz. Staff has no recommendation on this, but just based on council's discussions, then there may be some comments by either staff or the city attorney regarding in-person closed session. So Councilwoman Stoltz, I'll let you kind of have the floor.
I brought this forward because our last closed session, I could not hear Councilman Atkinson. I heard him when he first got on, and I heard when he said goodbye. Every time I would try to speak, I was told, wait, Adam's speaking, wait, Adam's speaking, because I couldn't hear him. So it wasn't only myself, but the city manager couldn't hear him either, and her and I were 50 miles apart on different devices. So I just think that I'm part of a team, and we need to be able to hear each other to make cohesive decisions and not have somebody interrupting where I cannot hear what's being said. And I don't think that it's right that I'm told third party what someone else is saying. I cannot vote on a decision regarding our police department when I can't hear Adam's reasons why or why not he's wanting to do what he's wanting to do. So I think that we need to meet in person and be face to face when we're making these serious decisions for the betterment of the community.
Any other discussion, council?
I just think if we're going to meet in person for closed session, might as well just meet in person for the whole thing.
Okay, I have no problem with meeting. Either way you guys want to do it, it's no problem with me.
I agree.
Actually, I know some cities that are now meeting in person, but then you have an issue of allowing the public into the meeting. So there's your problem. And I talked to Marissa about that here several weeks back. And I don't know precisely how you would have to do that. Perhaps the attorney could give us some input there.
Yeah, we have had in-person meetings going on in some of our other cities, and the way we usually handle it there is, we have the audience taped off, so only a certain amount of people can sit in a certain amount of chairs to keep people distanced and things like that. I mean, the one thing I would caution, I would not recommend you guys require anyone be in person. I would let it be up to you guys if you guys want to come and attend in person, but I would think there still needs to be an option if someone doesn't feel comfortable coming in person to do it telephonically or some other method.
One of the challenges is that we're not really set up yet in council chambers to be able to manage a Zoom meeting and and any type of like stream in the council chambers. I know that we think we did it for the workshop that we did, but
That was
then
a test run, yeah.
the public didn't come. And also, one of the issues I know that Marissa's brought up in the past is that if it is open to the public, or if we do have everyone there, that if there's any instance where someone contracts COVID, that it could shut down City Hall completely.
Yeah, that was the big issue.
Because
So I think
employees.
I would I'm sorry. I would like to suggest that until a later date, until we know precisely where we are, let's just continue it on the way we are. And let's try to work that if something isn't functioning properly, let's stop and make sure we get it correct so everyone can be able to participate. Does that sound fair to everyone?
Either way is fine with me.
I guess so. Nobody say anything. Okay. All right. Why don't we just go ahead and do that for now? But let's keep that on the burner, just the back burner, just to make sure as to where it's going. And, you know, if we have to make adjustments, then we'll do it.
So that means that whatever technologically happened on someone's end, that I'll be excluded again from hearing?
No, we'll stop the meeting and make sure you can hear. We'll do it. We'll make sure everybody will be able to participate. That's what it's all about.
I'll just come back to the city if someone can't hear me.
There you go. Okay, let's go on to item 5, which is discussion, direction, and potential action. Let's try that again. Discussion, direction, and potential action regarding placing In God We Trust in the City Council chambers. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This was a future agenda item by Mayor Pro Tem Ramsey regarding the institution of adding In God We Trust into the council chambers. So I'm going to give him the floor, and we are going to attempt, I think he has some visuals that he'd like to show you. And so I will attempt to share my screen, and he can talk us through it as we're presenting those. So Mayor Pro Tem Ramsey, I'll let you go ahead and start, and you are ready to go.
Okay, well, thank you very much. What started this is about 5 or 6 years ago, we started receiving letters from a group from Bakersfield. Her name is Jacqueline Sullivan. She's a council person from the city of Bakersfield. And she saw that people were trying to take out In God We Trust off of our money, off of other places downtown, their downtowns and stuff like that. So she decided to make an organization that would promote patriotic people. And so In God We Trust is the official national motto of the United States. And she wants this in every city council chambers and state capitals in America. It promotes patriotism and encourages, she wants us to encourage elected officials to vote yes to legally displaying our congressional approved national monument. On July 30th, 1956, during Dwight D. Eisenhower's administration, the US Congress adopted In God We Trust as the official motto of the United States. Displaying the national motto is a legal right protected by the First Amendment, and there has been no legal challenges because there is nothing to challenge. It's completely legal. And there is one group that I have the paperwork for that said that if you were ever attempted to be sued because of this, they would pay all the cost for the city to be free of that, and they've never had to use that. Right now, there are over 750 municipalities across America that have In God We Trust, and 143 of them are in the cities and counties in California. And in Fresno County, we have 8 right now. And hold on, and I'll tell you which ones we have. The ones in Fresno County are the city of Fowler, the city of Fresno, the city of Huron, the city of Kerman, the city of Orange Cove, the city of Reedley, the city of Sanger, and the city of Selma. There's 8 out of the 15 cities in the city, in Fresno County. Right now, Sean's going to try to bring up some different pictures. This is
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Cool.
this
Okay.
is Buena Park. Okay, this is a rendering that I've kind of photoshopped for the city of Coalinga. If we would like that. The next one, there's a different way we could put it if we wanted to.
Are you going to number 1, number 2?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, do them numbers so that way we can keep track.
Okay. What? Okay.
So that's number 1.
Okay, number 1.
Okay, number 2. Number 3. Number 4. This is our back wall. Number 5. And then this is up on top. That's number 6. And this is another rendering of a number 1, I think, or number 2, I think.
Yep.
Okay, we want to show you on the, it has "In God We Trust" on our dollar bill. There's the city of Florida, the state of Florida has "In God We Trust." This is the city of Bakersfield here. The lady on the right-hand side, that's Jacqueline right there. And this is one of our past councils. And they also have E Pluribus Unus. What's that stand for? As one, I forgot exactly.
Out of many, one.
One of many, yeah, out of many, one. And they have it both. This is, I forgot which city this is, I'm sorry.
That's just on a car, I think.
Okay. Here's another one of the city of Bakersfield. Okay, here's a "We the People" sign that are all over the place.
Let's see here.
Is there any more?
I don't know. Let me see. Got all the way to, we got 3 more.
There's another one. This is from the county of Smith in Texas, and this is the city of Shafter.
That's the last one.
And
That's the last one.
and that's the last one.
Oh, you got one more. Hold on, sorry, City of Selma.
Oh, and the city of Selma.
After-
I'm sorry.
Okay, go ahead. After looking at them, Ron, I like number 1.
What does everybody
This is
else?
Adam. I completely agree with number 1. I thought number 1 looked great.
Number 1 is nice and simple and to the point, and we need to have it up behind us. And because if you put it up above, the screen would drop down and cover it up when we're using that. And if it's on the back wall, nobody's going to see it anyway because they're going to be facing the podium. So I think number 1 looks really good.
We marked on the pictures you gave us.
Pardon me?
We marked on the pictures that you gave us.
Oh, okay. That's kind of a goldish brown color, and we can try to match it. And
Yeah.
basically, we can get letters that they have like pens on the back of them, and they just push into the wall. Or we could have something made up, but I think the other way would be a lot better. I mean, with the pens, and we could try to figure out what size exactly those would be too.
Yeah, I think that the brownish tone that is there in the picture matches everything very well. You know, not only with the logo, the city logo, but the podium, everything. It coordinates very well, Ron.
Okay, and also.
Can you go back to number 1?
That is number 1, I think.
Oh, it's not up on my screen.
You don't see it?
No, I see Selma.
Oh, hold on a second. I may have opened up another screen. Hold on a second. That's probably what the problem is. Hold on. I'm going to stop my
Technology.
Give me a second. Let's see. Where'd it go? Oh, here's right here. There we go. You guys should see it now.
There you go. Yeah, I think that looks great.
And also,
Yeah, it's color coordinated very well.
yeah, I also talked to Jacqueline, and she said that this should be in private funds only, and I'll go out and get some donors for this if we approve it tonight, and then.
Okay. How much money are we talking about, Ronnie?
I would say under $100, just for the if we do all the work ourselves, and we get the right letters and stuff. I think it's $100. The city of Fresno, I think theirs cost it was like $1,700, but they had a lot more stuff involved, and all ours are just letters, and and that backing is something really easy to put on too. I think on the way we have it right now.
Yeah, that looks nice. That looks really nice. If it's Ronnie, if it's $100, I'll pay for it.
Okay, well, we can look at some stuff on it and go from there. We also have an ordinance. I haven't sent it to you guys yet, but I had some other businesses I had to do today, and we'll put the ordinances out there and stuff. And we also have the paper from this company that said that they would, if we ever got sued on it, they would support us. So we have that too. So all we need is, I guess, a vote on this.
Okay.
So, Ron, how big are you thinking? Those letters probably should be like, what, 8 inches?
Yeah, 6 to 8 inches, I think. Yeah. And what
Yeah, I think the bigger the better, as long as it centers on that wall.
Right. We could get some different size letters and check it, and then go from there, and then we could actually almost do it ourselves as a council. This
Yeah,
would
you can do it.
Our gift to the city.
We can do it. That's simple.
Yeah.
Draw a straight line and space it out just like we did in school.
Exactly. Hopefully we could do that.
Okay, do we have a motion to follow through with this? Let's do a motion on this.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. I also vote aye. Tell Jacqueline hi for me when you talk to her. I haven't seen her since what? Last year at the league.
Yeah, she's not going to run this year either. This is her last year.
See, we're all smart. We're getting too old for this stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell her. I'm going to call her tonight.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank
Do
you,
we have
guys.
any?
I just got a text that will be made and donated by Jim Horn.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
What else we got?
well, great.
We have someone who wants to make a comment. Go ahead, Mercedes. It's Mary Jones. Is she on?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mary.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to know if the final design was going to be approved by the city manager, or just somebody's just going to do it, or how that was going to work. I was looking at the design, not that I'm a professional or anything, but I have never mind. But it would be, I think, better if your font was not italicized, going with the font you already have up there. It's going to, I think, look a little too busy if you don't do that. But if you just have Marissa or someone okay it, that would be super.
Perfect. And you know what? If we need your input, we'd be happy to accept that.
I'm sure. So thanks. I just wanted to say that. It
Okay,
looks good.
thank you, Mary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, go on to announcements. City managers announcements. Sean, you have any announcements?
I have none through Marissa as proxy.
Council members' announcements. Any announcements, council? None. The mayor announcements. I have one announcement, and that announcement is to thank Sean for doing such a great job. He had to work really hard this evening in coordinating all this, and great job. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with all of you for the rest of this year. And I want to express my appreciation for Mr. Vosberg's comments. Very, very much appreciated. And let's go to future agenda items. Any future agenda items? No. Seeing none, there is no closed session. This meeting is now adjourned. Everyone have a great weekend.